Most men think attraction is obvious, loud, direct, easy to spot. But the truth is, attraction usually begins in silence, not with dramatic confessions, not with bold flirting, but with tiny moments most men completely overlook. And if you are not paying attention, you will miss them every single time. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with a woman and later wondered, wait, was she actually interested in me? Maybe she laughed a little harder at your jokes. Maybe she kept finding reasons to stay near you. Maybe something in her eyes felt different, but you brushed it off because you did not want to assume anything. Here is the problem. Most men are trained to look for obvious signals, but women rarely express attraction in obvious ways at first. They test emotional comfort before emotional closeness. They observe before they reveal. And desire often starts as a whisper long before it becomes words. Today, I am going to show you the 3 subtle signs a woman is already feeling desire for you. And trust me, the final one is the one most men completely miss even when it is happening right in front of them. Because once you understand these signals, something changes. You stop guessing, you stop overthinking every interaction, and for the first time, you begin seeing attraction while it is actually happening instead of realizing it years later. The first sign is touch, but not obvious touch, not dramatic touch. I am talking about those tiny, almost invisible moments where she creates physical contact for no real reason. Maybe she lightly touches your arm while laughing. Maybe she adjusts your sleeve jokingly. Maybe she taps your shoulder when making a point. Maybe she guides you slightly while walking through a crowd even though there was enough space already. To most men, these moments seem meaningless, but psychologically, they are not meaningless at all. When attraction begins forming, the body naturally starts reducing physical distance. Humans are wired this way. When someone feels emotionally closed off, they create boundaries. But when curiosity and comfort begin to grow, those boundaries slowly relax. And touch is often the first thing that changes. Now listen carefully because this part matters. One isolated touch does not automatically mean attraction. Friendly people exist. Warm personalities exist. But patterns tell stories. If she repeatedly finds reasons to touch you during conversation, especially in moments connected to laughter, attention, or emotional engagement, that is often a very strong sign she feels comfortable around you. And comfort is one of the earliest foundations of desire. There was a man who once described meeting a woman at a birthday gathering. They talked casually for nearly an hour. During the conversation, she touched his arm while laughing. Later, she brushed something invisible off his sleeve. Then she touched his shoulder again while making a point. He barely noticed any of it. Months later, after they reconnected, she admitted something surprising. She said, "I kept touching you because I was trying to see if you felt the connection too." He had missed every signal. And this happens constantly because most men expect attraction to announce itself loudly. But attraction is usually quiet in the beginning. Now here is where things become even more interesting, because the second sign lives in her eyes. You have probably heard people say the eyes are the window to the soul. As poetic as that sounds, psychology actually supports it. Human beings communicate enormous emotional information through eye contact, interest, comfort, curiosity, trust, attraction. And when a woman begins feeling desire, something subtle changes in the way she looks at you. Most men think attraction means staring. It usually does not. In reality, attraction often looks like rhythm. She looks at you, holds the gaze for just a second longer than expected, then looks away, then returns again moments later. That pattern matters, because attraction creates awareness. And awareness naturally pulls attention back toward the person creating that emotional reaction. What makes this fascinating is that much of it happens automatically. When someone feels emotionally drawn toward another person, the nervous system reacts in ways that are difficult to fake. Her gaze softens. Her attention sharpens. She listens more carefully than usual. She remembers small details you mention casually. She reacts emotionally to your stories instead of simply responding politely. That attentive energy is incredibly important because attention is emotional investment. There was a man sitting across from a woman during a group dinner. The room was full of conversations and distractions, but every time he spoke, she turned slightly toward him. Every time their eyes met, she smiled softly, glanced downward for a moment, then looked back again. Later, he described the experience in a very interesting way. He said, "Even though the room was full of people, it somehow felt like the conversation was only happening between us." That feeling is not random. When attraction grows, people begin focusing on each other differently. The outside world starts fading slightly into the background. And that emotional narrowing of attention creates intimacy before intimacy even officially exists. Now, the third sign, this is the most powerful one of all because it usually requires intention, and almost nobody notices it in time. The third sign is this: she creates privacy where there was none before. Think about normal social environments. People gather in groups. Conversations stay public. Attention is shared between multiple people. But when a woman begins feeling genuine attraction, she often starts creating tiny moments that belong only to the two of you. Not dramatically, not obviously, subtly. Maybe she says, "Come here, I want to show you something." Maybe she asks you to walk with her to grab a drink. Maybe she lowers her voice so only you can hear. Maybe she suggests sitting somewhere quieter. Maybe she finds a reason to pull you slightly outside the group dynamic. Most men think these are random moments. They are not. Psychologically, this is extremely significant because attraction naturally seeks deeper connection away from social pressure and outside attention. Researchers sometimes describe these moments as microenvironments, small emotional spaces where two people can interact more personally without everyone else around them. And women often create these moments very intentionally when they feel safe enough to explore attraction further. There was a man attending a friend's engagement party. Throughout the night, he had casual conversations with a woman he had just met. Nothing dramatic, just light banter and easy laughter. Then at one point, she leaned closer and quietly said, "Come see this photo album with me." It was just pictures from a vacation. But once they stepped away from the group, the energy changed completely. The conversation became softer, longer, more personal. Later, he realized something important. The photo album was never the point. The moment was. She had created a private pocket of connection, and these moments happen constantly around you. Most men simply fail to recognize them while they are happening. Now, here is the most important part of this entire conversation. Understanding attraction is not about manipulation. It is not about tricks. It is not about forcing chemistry where none exists. It is about awareness. Because once you start recognizing these signals, you stop trying so hard to manufacture attraction out of thin air. You simply begin noticing when attraction is already present, and that changes everything. When she lightly touches your arm, you do not panic. You stay present. When she holds eye contact longer than usual, you do not overanalyze it. You meet her gaze naturally and continue the conversation. When she creates a small moment of privacy, you do not rush the interaction forward trying to impress her. You relax into the moment. That calm presence is incredibly attractive because confidence rarely comes from saying the perfect thing. It comes from understanding what is happening around you without needing to force it. And honestly, that is where most men go wrong. They become so focused on trying to create attraction that they completely miss the fact that attraction is already quietly unfolding in front of them. So the next time a woman finds reasons to touch you, the next time you catch that soft, returning gaze, the next time she creates a small moment alone with you, even in a crowded room, pause. Pay attention. Because attraction rarely begins with fireworks. Most of the time, it begins with whispers.